The African female divinity system is one of the oldest systems in the world, and it is also one of the oldest god concepts in the world. Definitely, this is a video that's long overdue. I'm really excited to talk about it. In African traditional societies, national cosmologies focus on a feminine god and a masculine god. There's always a balance. All of our ancient cultures believe that there could not ever be a male god without a female god. Our ancient African cultures always believed that there could not be creation without a balance between the masculine and the feminine. And if it was not a masculine god, a sole or singular masculine god with a counterpart, a female counterpart, it was an androgynous deity who was both male and female. The balance always had to be there, otherwise creation couldn't happen. You know, it's like that even in our physical realm. Creation cannot happen without a balance of both energies or components of both energies. A lesson that I learned from one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Ukoko Kanyagute, is something that he said that really stuck with me throughout, the rest of my journey up until now, is that, the female organism is the only organism on the planet throughout all living creatures and all life forms, the only organism that has the ability to bring life into this planet. It's only the female organisms and the androgynous, because they have to have the female component, they have to have the balance between the masculine and the feminine. Acknowledging the goddess has always been crucial, a crucial part of the African culture, a crucial part of the African spiritual system, and in African tradition. In African traditional societies, goddesses are omnipotent and omnipresent beings that control and influence all life. As women, we naturally embody the attributes of the goddess through our ability to be the portal through which life travels to enter this realm. African goddesses are most associated with the process of creation in terms of womanhood, motherhood, fertility, childbirth, and pregnancy. African goddesses are often linked to the symbolism of sacred vessels, bowls, and other containers that signify the womb. So they oversee the initiation of birth. We spoke in the previous video about the goddess Nut. One of the hieroglyphs in her name is the pot, so she's also represented by the pot because the pot also symbolizes the womb. So the womb and menstrual blood, which is also understood to be the sacred waters, cause goddesses to be keepers of great bodies of water. Nun is one of the most original gods in the creation story, and she is referred to as the waters of the abyss. She is the water that the sun emerged from. So the whole Big Bang Theory refers to the emergence of the sun from the waters of Nun. Everything about the divine feminine is linked to water and is characterized by the waters. Most of the goddesses that we know in our African cultural system, in our African history, and in our spirituality, cultures across the continent, most of our goddesses are wives or counterparts to gods. The family system plays a very pivotal role in the African culture. We value family. It's this colonial state that we're in that promotes the broken family because the family was the first thing to be broken apart. And that's also what made it so easy to break us as a people. But our original belief and our original belief system and our knowledge system is based on the family structure. Our gods always had a female counterpart. Our male gods had a female counterpart. We have Asa and Oset. We had Geb and we had Nut. That's just in reference to the Kemetic knowledge system. But throughout the African continent, that is something that you'll find is a common thread amongst all African deities. Still to this day, a lot of African cultures that practice their indigenous spirituality still hold festivals in the names of their goddesses to honor their goddesses. They set up shrines, they perform rituals, they'll get dressed up, wear symbols that represent the goddess. They even do things like harvest and plant crops in the name of the goddess. Our continent also wasn't built on a patriarchal system. We had a lot of matriarchs, and we still do in small communities. I know in the Venda culture and in Venda communities that we visited, they have a matriarchal system. Matriarchal systems are highly influenced by the goddesses that they acknowledge, the goddesses that they honor. Understanding the role of the goddess in that society and what the principle of the goddess is and what the function of the goddess is what ultimately informs the way that they treat their leaders and the way that they choose their leaders. So it affects different parts of the economy of the communities as well, because things like property transfer preference, who they allow to own certain land. Just the matrilineal structure of it is influenced by their understanding of their gods. Two of the most spoken about examples of African goddesses come from Northeast and West Africa. These two goddesses are Oset and Ma'at. We know Oset as Isis in Greek mythology, because that's our main point of reference and our main source of information in this modern day. So in Northeast Africa, which is Kemet, goddesses such as Nut existed thousands of years before the Christian era. She's known to have existed before anything else had even been created. Nut is the embodiment of the cosmos. She is the body that holds the cosmos within her. The stars, the moon, the sun. So she is the sky goddess. And then we have Oset, who is initially one of the 5 children of Nut. She's the wife of Asa, who we know as Osiris, and she is the mother of Heru, who we know as Horus. She's also part of the creation story. She is the most popular deity in all of the world. The modern interpretation of her in this day and age, especially in Christianity, is Mother Mary. Mary is the Christian interpretation of Oset, because Oset is the original Virgin Mother. She is the original Mother Mary. She is the first story of Immaculate Conception, the story that predates Christianity by thousands and thousands of years. She's also known as Ishtar, who we honor during the time of Easter. Ishtar was the goddess of regeneration and rebirth. That is Oset. She symbolizes the sunrise or the spring equinox. She's the goddess of nature, agriculture, healing. She's most popularly known for the resurrection story where she resurrected her husband Asa. The Northeast African goddess Ma'at represents the oldest known design for spiritual justice. She is the goddess of order and justice and structure. And in Kemet, those who supervised the courts of law were known as the priests of Ma'at. If you want to know more about Ma'at, you can check out the video. We have a video called What You Need to Know About Ma'at, where I break down all the principles of Ma'at. Not the principles of Ma'at, because there's 42 of them and they're really easy to find on the internet, but I break down basically who she is and what she's about. So other Northeast African or Kemetic goddesses include Sekhmet, who is the goddess of war, Tefnut, who is the goddess of moisture. She's the female counterpart to Shu, who is the god of air and wind. She represents moisture in the form of rain or mist. I feel like we talk about Kemet a lot, so I'm gonna take it to other parts of Africa. For instance, within the Yoruba culture, there are many feminine deities, and they're called orishas. Disclaimer, I don't know the pronunciation of all of the orishas' names, but I'm gonna do my best. One of the oldest African Yoruba goddesses was Are or Are. Goddesses like Are are believed to be so old that their details were just lost in time. There's also Oduduwa, who's mostly associated with male divinity systems, but has a feminine side depending on your location in Yoruba land. Oduduwa seemingly evolved over time to have the image of a male-centered deity, but there is evidence of the worship of Oduduwa as a female deity. The Orisha Yamoja is associated with the Ogun River and the aspect of womanhood. She was believed to have overseen the souls in the Holocaust of enslavement. Then there's the Yoruba warrior goddess Nana Buruku. She protects and she dispenses courage, and she also takes life away, but she also oversees birth. So there's that balance. And just like in Kemet and throughout all African cultures, the male orishas also had powerful female counterparts. Oba was the first wife of Shango, the god of thunder and lightning. And then there's Oya, who is responsible for storms and is also present at the time of a warrior's death. She's also the designated goddess of the river Niger. And then there's the famous Oshun. I feel like everybody in the world knows who Oshun is. She's, I think, the most popular, like right up there with Oset, or in the popular term Isis. Oshun is the goddess of beauty, love, and wealth. She's also a river goddess. Oshun festivals are usually held at large bodies of water. She governs fertility and divination. In Benin, they have the goddess Minona. She is the sacred mother and grandmother of powerful goddesses, and she's a guardian of women. Minona is the mother of Mau, the earth goddess creator of the universe. The Ashanti people of Ghana revere the goddess Asaseya. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She's one of their most divine feminine beings, really important to their cosmological system. She is wife or female counterpart to the sky god Nyame. Asaseya represents the earth, fertility, birth, and death. West African deities, West African goddesses have a lot of similarities to other African goddesses throughout the continent, especially Southern African goddesses. The Zulu people of Southern Africa revere Inkosazana, who introduced corn and beer, is the goddess Mbaba Mwana Waresa. She's a fertility goddess of the Zulu religion of Southern Africa. She rules over rainbows, agriculture, harvests, rain, and beer, and has power over water and earth. She taught her people how to sow and reap, and also taught them the art of making beer. We have Unomkhubulwane, who's represented by the moon. Unomkhubulwane was said to be a shapeshifter. She's the goddess of nature, rain, and fertility. African goddesses essentially tell an important story of human possibilities by offering information about the supernatural realm. So we get to understand ourselves better as women by understanding the goddesses, by understanding the science of the goddesses, by understanding the principles of the goddesses, the functions of the goddesses, by knowing the story and understanding how they relate to us, because that is how we better understand ourselves, understanding their functions, the functions of birth, of fertility. When we say Nomkhubulane is the goddess of rain, and you understand the symbolism of rain, how rain is responsible for life on earth, it helps us understand ourselves better as women. African goddesses survived and developed in the Black diaspora as a result of the Holocaust of enslavement. Some communities within the African diaspora preserved the original names of their goddesses, and some of them gave new names and took on new names for those goddesses. But ultimately, the principles remained the same, which is why we can often see similarities within our deities across the continent and within the diaspora as well. Ultimately, the reason that goddesses are so revered within African cultures in Africa and in the diaspora are for the functions, which are functions that we cannot live without and functions that we would not exist without. Those include creating the universe, protecting humanity, exemplifying the role of the great wife and the mother, serving as oracles in the divination process, bringing wealth, abundance, prosperity, controlling all of nature, giving us life and taking it away too, healing the sick, serving justice, providing us with sustenance, and ultimately balancing and bringing order to the universe. Those are their common traits. Those are their common characteristics. That is what ultimately ties them all together at the end of the day. So understanding the African goddess, or understanding the goddess, and connecting to the goddess is connecting with yourself, is connecting with your higher self, and having a better understanding of yourself and your personal power as a woman, especially as an African woman, because our deities are so comprehensive and they're so specific and they're very empowering and they provide life and sustenance. You cannot have a male god without a female counterpart. It is impossible. There's no way that creation can happen without the balance of the masculine and the feminine. So all hail the feminine, protect the Black woman, and understand your personal power as a Black woman. And you can empower yourself through the understanding of your deities, your goddesses, your African goddesses. If you don't know much about them, this is kind of an entry into the world of the African goddess and how their energy can be evoked to empower you, to protect you, to heal you. If you want to know more about how to connect with these deities, how to connect with the goddesses, there's a video called Connecting with African Deities or Communicating with African Deities. But that is a good guide to connecting with just your spirit guides, with your ancestors, and with African deities, with your gods. Thank you so much for watching. I'm wishing you all the best. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am out. I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to comment below any African goddesses that you know of that I left out, that I missed out on. There are so many more within all of our African cultures. There's no way to cover all of them and all of their stories, but please do put more in the comments, more that you know of that I didn't cover. What goddesses are revered in your culture, in your indigenous culture? I really want to know. Take care of yourself, love yourself.